You and your world. This is Tech Talk Tuesday on Wood Radio's West Michigan Live.
All right, so we are streaming right now, Facebook and Twitter, all those, YouTube, all those great places. But I want to tell. I don't know if Jeff can hear me or not, but Jeff, your video like froze up and you're down to like one bar on your stream now. I don't know if it's the internet. I don't know if it's our weird service that we got going on here. But just a heads up, if you can't hear me, you may want to try and jump back in, refresh and jump back in. We do have Trent and Jeff powering our Tech Talk Tuesday today. The affordable iStore, our good friends there. And by the way, I'll just say this. I don't want to give too much away, but stand by. Good stuff. Some great news coming and something you're going to want to know about, I think, coming up in the near future. Good morning, Trent. How are you, man?
Hey, good morning, Justin. Doing great. Busy day here.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. I know that it is a busy day for you, especially because we have the Big Apple event. Jeff's joining us right now too. Big Apple event is coming up. We'll get into that coming up in the conversation. There are a lot of things happening right now. It's not a Tuesday without a TikTok story. Again, they're saying that TikTok might be sold. We'll start with you. This company, Oracle, does that make sense? And what are they looking to do with TikTok, the Chinese company that the president has had some words about?
I mean, does it make sense? No. I mean, but let me try and make sense of it, right? For Oracle to kind of expand their cloud business, it's an absolutely great idea. They're only going to be a steward of the data. They're not really having operational involvement with the company.
And
so in that context,
do they really sell? It's not really selling the company, is it?
No, my gosh, no. Like, I mean, that's this entire conversation about selling them is a bit of misnomer this entire time. No, it's just that Oracle will be the steward of the U.S. data so that we feel protected in that regard. But it's a weird purchase because I never would have made that purchase if I was any company because I don't have control over what the company does or doesn't do and how they would collect the data. They're just going to hang on to the data, which, again, business-wise, you can do a lot of stuff with that.
A lot of weird things on TikTok that have caused concern for a number of different reasons. As I've been talking about this, another tech company that's seen some wild things, and the latest is people are calling to cancel Netflix because of this new show that's out. It's called, and it's a show that some are saying has some child pornography moments in it. That IMDb has written some things. I haven't watched it. I can't give you my personal perspective on it. I haven't seen it. I have no desire to watch it. But it certainly is controversial, and people are now saying they want to cancel Netflix. Jeff, I don't know if it's fair to go to you because you probably don't necessarily have a Netflix account at all. But what do you make? I mean, certainly you're a parent. What do you make about companies producing this type of content?
Yeah, Justin, that's one of the reasons why I don't watch movies is because since they've began, they've kind of been spiraling to more and more explicit content, racy content, and it's because people get used to it. It's normal, so they want more, and so it just goes into a spiral. I haven't seen the show. I've seen news tidbits about it, so I can't comment on what the actual content was. But it kind of, to me, it fits what modern Hollywood, modern shows kind of are, going toward, and it's not a good way to go at all for people.
Jeff, is there any issue that Netflix is going to have to look at as far as what this is going to do to their bottom line with all these people canceling? Is that hurting them? We're looking at what's happening to the stock. I know stocks go up and down, but is this an issue in the long run, or what do they need to do to take a look at this?
I mean, I haven't watched it either, but my guess is Netflix isn't that worried. This isn't the first time Netflix has kind of encountered this, and I think streaming companies will encounter this more. There was a Polish movie on there about 6 months ago that people got a little nuts about. They've policed content before too, and they have a lot of times with Hassan Minhaj's show. It was only allowed to air in certain countries because Saudi Arabia had an issue with it. A few other places had an issue with it. So Netflix adapts to this. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think this is going to hurt Netflix that much. Again, I haven't watched it, so I don't know enough to know about the content, because much like you or Trent, I'm like, hard pass. But I think Netflix will be fine.
The film did win an award. Was it Sundance? It did win an award at a film festival. Some are watching it saying that it's critically acclaimed for a reason. Others are watching it and saying, I can't even make it all the way through this. And I'm a guy who, I like free speech. I like to be able to give people the opportunity to watch whatever it is that they want to watch and be able to say what they want to say. I don't want to get into telling people what they can and can't, but it's certainly not something that I'd want to watch. But it is something to watch in the cancel live in, that a tech company is facing a cancel effort right now that's happening as we speak. All right, let's talk a little bit about the big day, because it's an Apple event day here, and this is kind of big for Apple folks. Are they going to get an Apple phone? Heard about a new watch? There's a lot of things that are kind of being talked about right now, and I guess we'll go to you, Trent, because you're the Apple expert, man. What's happening today?
Yeah, Justin, it's kind of been a crazy year, obviously, with COVID, and that's affected Apple greatly. In fact, this might be the first time since the iPhone 1 or the original iPhone, release. We're not supposed to, according to the rumors again, we're not supposed to have the iPhone 12 release today. There's a lot of rumors, a lot of very credible sources that say that the iPhone 12 will be released at a later date, and there's some different reasons why. Part of it's supply and demand. Part of it's a screen frequency choice versus battery life, that they're this late in the game actually playing around with which option to go with. They haven't decided that yet. It looks like they're going to go with the longer battery life and the slightly lower screen resolution. So what we're going to see is Apple Watch, an updated Apple Watch, an updated iPad Air, AirPods Studio, which is a really high-end version of their very popular AirPods, and then just a bunch of random smaller things like a cheaper HomePod, a cheaper Apple Watch, more of like an entry-level Apple Watch. So these are rumors, but most of these rumors from my sources are pretty accurate historically. Given this is a COVID year, the rumors are probably 80% accurate instead of the 95% they typically are.
Yeah, a lot to keep an eye on. We'll watch that and give you more. Some more exciting news came out yesterday. In the most, every day there's something new that I think, well, in true 2020 fashion. But here is some news that I think probably has us all saying, yeah, it's 2020. I could see that. Do you think we get aliens by October? They've just announced that they may have found life on Venus. Jeff, aliens by October. What's the over-under on that?
Venus is a surprise, right? I guess if you had betting odds, we would have all thought Mars. So
right,
good for Venus. Moving up the depth chart. Aliens by October in 2020. This month probably, right? Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. Again, my hot take on aliens is always they're never going to look like you think they were going to look like in movies, right? So I think that would always be the big surprise for people, is like if we ever see an alien, we're gonna be like, oh, that's not an alien. What is that?
They say possible signs of life on Venus, traces of rare molecule known as phosphine, have been found in the hellish, heavily acidic atmosphere of Venus. Astronomers announcing Monday, providing a tantalizing clue about the possibility of life. Phosphine molecules found on Earth are primarily a result of human industry or the actions of microbes that thrive in an oxygen-free environment. Now, did we all live on Venus at one point? I guess we'll have to ask Joe Rogan about that. He seems to know a lot about aliens or want to talk about them. That brings us to our next topic. Joe Rogan debate, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff, you knew it had to happen. Do you think there will be a Joe Rogan presidential debate coming up with the president, who said, yes, I'm in, let's do it?
Of course.
It's going to be huge. It'll be the best debate ever. Tremendous, terrific. And then Joe Biden in the basement, very nothing yet, crickets, but that's okay. It takes him a little while to respond to some things. We'll wait and see if he. Do you think, what's the likelihood of this happening though, in your opinion, Jeff? It is 2020.
Well, okay, one, fact check, Joe's out there just as much as Donald. But two,
Rogan?
honestly, this actually seems plausible. Okay, as much as I want to make fun of this and be like, are they going to do Fear Factor? Are they going to get into an octagon? Obviously, Rogan is a hugely successful podcast host. He carries the weight. It would have to be a podcast. You'd have to have both of them on a podcast. Let's do it. Both of them agree. Let's roll it out, but not a conventional debate. Could you imagine if they're like, to the next 2020 presidential debate, moderated by Joe Rogan? No.
No, that's why the Joe Rogan format. Joe gets to ask all the questions that he wants, and I think it's
Elon
really
Musk,
thrilling.
Elon Musk is smoking weed in the back. Yeah.
He'll be popping in to ask a question too. Okay, but let's take a look. There's a guy who has a podcast. It streams on YouTube as well. He just signed a deal with Spotify, $100 million. It's 2020. Shouldn't maybe the conversations that take place in election year, shouldn't they also work along the same lines to communicate with people the way that now we're starting to communicate with podcasts?
I think we're going to adjust and adapt for sure. I think it might not be this election cycle, but let's do it. Plus, I'm all in favor of Donald talking more because the more he talks.
You know, it's interesting because the folks that favor the president would say the same thing about Joe. Let me go to you, Trent. What do you think? Would you watch this type of debate? And do you know who Joe Rogan is? Because that's the next question. I know you don't watch a lot of this stuff, so I think it's a fair question. Would you watch this kind of thing?
Yeah, Justin, I think politics do interest me. They have a large effect on our life, so I would absolutely watch it. And I think the future is changing. So, talking about debate.
Trent, your signal is jumping in and out there. You're back now. Talking about
he's dodging the question. He doesn't know.
Right.
So what do you make of this? I mean, do you think it's time for the 2020 upgrade in debates?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable, Justin. I don't think that we can change or stop this. Technology is changing so fast. How many people actually sit and watch TV news? You know, even online news, for example. I wanted to see some of the video footage from the wildfires. I don't have TV. I jump online. I go to Fox News. I go to CNN. There's nothing there hardly footage-wise. You have to go to Facebook, Instagram, and there's tons of videos. So culture is changing online where if you want to see something live and real, unfortunately or fortunately, you jump onto Facebook or Instagram, and there you go.
Jeff Barrett, at Barrett all on Twitter, and Trent Knibbie or our Tech Talk Tuesday. Before we get out of here, not all new tech is new tech. Some of it is old tech. And I wanted to share this with you guys. I saw this stat and it blew me away. For the first time since the 1980s, vinyl record sales have surpassed the sale of CDs. What do you make of that? What's old is new again. And I see, Jeff is pumping his fist over there.
It's a vibe, man. Like having a little bit of a record collection, having a player. You can argue that the sound is better. Trent will know a little bit more on that stuff on the tech. But it's a vibe, and CDs never had a vibe. So, it makes it fun. It kind of transcended being hipster to being like a big thing now.
I had the CD changer and I had the visor full of CDs in the car, so I would disagree with you there. I thought the CDs were a vibe, but I do agree. I had the vinyl as well. Before I leave here, Trent, if you could see one old tech come back, what would that be?
Old technology, Justin? Oh, that's a hard question here. I'm pretty young, Justin. I mean, I wasn't even alive when the record players were invented. So, old tech, I would say the computers that had the green screens and then didn't have a mouse and forced you to key in everything. I'd like to see that come back.
No, thank you. By the way, if you want to see one of those, and you don't necessarily want to see it come back, but you just want to see one, Trent old tech in like a museum to all the old Apple and Mac stuff in the store, affordable iStore. They can fix anything that you have, and of course, can even look at some of your other stuff and be more than willing to help you with anything. You walk in and see him. Of course, affordable iStore, Lake Michigan Drive in Standale. Big news coming from them in the next few days about that as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us today. We'll watch the Apple event today and probably cover some of that next week when we come back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys. Absolutely. Make it a great day. Trent Knibbie, Jeff Barrett, Tech Talk Tuesday. 1300 and 106.9 FM. Got some good news that I want to share with you. When we come back, don't go anywhere. We're back right after this on West Michigan Live on Wood Radio. If you miss any of the show, don't forget we're streaming live, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, but also you can go back and listen to the entire show. If you miss any minute of it, just check the podcast.